All right, so now legal experts have termed President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive of car grants for members of County Assembly as an empty promise. They say the president does not have the powers to decide on salaries and packs for state officers, including MCAs. They argue that even if the order of the head of state was to be implemented, it could only benefit MCAs who will be elected in 2022. Now, the section of the law reads in part: a county assembly legislation that confers a direct benefit, whether financial or in kind, on members of the county assembly shall come into force after the next general election of members of the county assembly. There are those who argue that the president's promise was not automatic, as the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, that is SRC, must give a clearance to the proposal, which will then go to the National Assembly for approval before the money trickles down to the ward representatives. So which is the correct interpretation? So let's speak to Joshua Kipto, who's a lawyer and Speaker of the Nandi County Assembly, joining us via way of phone. And Speaker Joshua Kipto, thank you so much for talking to us here on KTN News Center. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Brenda.
So now we are talking about the car grant, the 2 million shillings that the president gave a directive to be given to the members of the county assembly, because we know that they've been getting a loan and not a car grant. Let's begin first by your sentiments on the president's pronunciation.
Now, my sentiment would be that I think those are a mixture of issues. There's the welfare issues of the members, and there's the issue of the referendum. So I think the president was trying to address both at the same time. It's only that we've never had a forum as county assemblies together with the president. So I think it's only that it was caught in the moment of this. But as per the constitution of BBI, that will be done independent. On the issue of the car grant, that has been a demand of the county assembly since 2017. So that one should not be confused that it is a bribery or it be seen. It's only that the issue was mixed up at this point.
All right, and so, you know, this is not the first time we are hearing President Uhuru Kenyatta talk about car grants to be given to members of the county assembly. In 2014, he did that when he had a meeting with members of the county assembly. 5 years down the line again, we are seeing the president ordering for members of the county assembly to be given car grants. How sure are you that this time round this will be implemented?
Now, in 2015, there was a disagreement. They never reached a compromise. What was offered by government then was 1.2 million. And yet the assemblies were demanding 2 million. So because of the stalemate, the same was never implemented. It was never followed through because the elections were ensuing. That was in 2016. So coming to this point now, I think now that we are getting, this is the first time the county assemblies are getting a forum with the president since 2017. That is why the members felt that it's the best time to raise this matter that has been pending all this while. And I think the word has been, as soon as a circular is issued, because they understand the law, it has to come through a circular from SRC, and the directive has to be backed by such a circular. Otherwise, it will just be a roadside declaration.
In fact, I was about to ask you that because the president directive for the MCAs to be given that money, the car grant, has been termed as illegal because it does not have the powers to decide on the salaries and the packs for state officers.
Now, he has a right to be able to, for example, in a forum where we discuss between us and the president, we can agree on that. However, the force of the law comes through a circular written by SRC. Our terms of service for the members and the speakers are normally defined by the SRC. And over the years, we've even negotiated. In fact, the viewers should know that we've previously negotiated for review of our terms, and that has always been between us and the county assembly. So, as we speak right now, what the president gives, as assemblies, we've just followed it up and say, as soon as we are able to see a circular, because as a speaker, for example, we cannot be able to implement unless we have a circular from SRC. It has to be formal. Yes.
And as much as you're talking about, you know, even if the SRC has to give the way forward, it's taken to the National Assembly. Not all members of the county assembly would benefit from this, you know, directive that was given by the president, should it be implemented, because the law puts it very clear. You know, the Article 25, subsection 3 of the County Government Act 2012. I know you know about it, but let me just read it for the sake of our viewers. It says that a county assembly legislation that confers a direct benefit, whether financial or in kind, on members of the county assembly shall come into force after the next general election of the members of the county assembly. So this will not be implemented immediately, and the only people who benefit are probably MCAs who will be re-elected.
Now, the import, if you read the provision, it talks about a county assembly legislation. We are not legislating our own benefits. The reason why that provision was put there was to prevent a case whereby we would award ourselves or we'd allocate ourselves financial benefit. So the import of Section 40 of that County Government Act talks about a county assembly legislation. But on matters remuneration, the county assembly cannot legislate. We are 100% guided by the SRC. All the emoluments we pay, all the allowances, all the benefits we give the members at the moment are covered by SRC. The county assembly does not have a jurisdiction over the same. So that provision only applies to whatever we legislate at the county assembly. And in this case, this one is not a legislation of the county assembly. It's a national government matter. It is a directive, and as I've said, unless and when the SRC issues a circular. And once they do that, I don't think it is covered under this particular provision because it is not ourselves allocating such a benefit.
But then, let's just, speak about the reality of our country. Economically, we're not doing well. SRC has been raising concern about this because they're saying that the revenue basket is already stretched out.
Yes. Now, that one I 100% identify with. If you look at the outlook that was given the last 2 days about our debt level, it is alarming. I'm even scared about our situation as a country for the next 1 year, whether we will be able to stay afloat. If we are at a position where in a single year, in a per day, we are borrowing 2 billion. If you look at the amount of debt accumulated under the Jubilee regime, 5.8 trillion, it is scaring. And I think I would leave it to the economists to give us an outlook as to how to get out of the hole. It is scary, and as we speak, I think we are in a very, very, very dangerous trajectory as a country on matters economy. And as county assemblies, for us, we've been flexible. In fact, if you look at some of the proposals we've had with SRC before, we've said some of these things can be phased out. It can be through phased out in terms of the money, because remember, for the members, we had given them a loan. The same can be converted to a grant, which, if you look at it, not much is lost, because at the end of the day, we may not be asking for new money, but rather implementing what has been done, because that may amount to forgiveness of debt or in the bare minimum, phasing it out up to 2022.
Then realistically, in your statement, Speaker, you're saying that, yes, you understand the situation the country is facing right now in terms of financial status. At the same time, you're saying that MCAs need to have this. But let me just break down the figures for you. To implement the president's directive, if I'm not wrong, we need about 4.5 billion shillings, which will be needed to benefit the 2,224 MCAs in the country. Of this, 1,450 are elected members of the county assembly, while 774 are nominated. Nurses are on strike. Doctors are demanding for a pay rise. Yet the country needs 4.5 billion shillings for members of the county assembly to get a car grant.
Now, as I've told you, this one was the county assembly. Remember, in the first assembly, we were lucky to have a scheme. We have our own mortgage, car loan and mortgage scheme. Remember that. So one of the proposals that we are offering is that on ourselves we can be able to look at our end, what we have, and be able to work it around. Number two, it should not be seen that assemblies are being given due consideration over the others. Remember, we are at the forefront, even urging the county government, led by the COG, to be able to help the nurses and the doctors. That has been our concern. Yeah.
All right. And so, aren't members of the county assembly looking at the president's directive as a PR stand, as a way of having the 47 county assemblies support the BBI draft bill, which is already at the county assembly, because now the fate of that draft bill lies, on the hands of the MCAs. So it's like, I give you this and support the BBI.
I wish to correct that also, because remember, my county assembly has gone to the Supreme Court to ask for directions on matters how to pass, what is the threshold, number two, the issue of public participation, number three, giving us multiple. So the assemblies are going beyond just the issue of money. For us, we are keen on the issues, the agendas. We will just be going blindly. We still discuss and say what is good for the country. Yeah, we cannot just say we cannot accept that is enough, just say blindly report. That's why for most of us, we still focus on the issues.
All right, and finally, as we bring this conversation to an end, Mr. Speaker, what is the other way, apart from now seeking the President directive, seeking an approval from the SRC, then has to take it to the National Assembly for approval? The other alternative, is it that it can go, through the Treasury, right from the Treasury, then to the National Assembly for approval?
I don't require the National Assembly approval. SRC is an independent state agency that considers such emoluments. Even Parliament itself is regulated by SRC. I think it falls squarely on the Presidency, the Treasury, and SRC. It doesn't necessarily need to go through the National Assembly.
All right. Thank you so much. That is Joshua Kiptoo, who's the Speaker there of... the Speaker talking to us, Speaker of the Nandi County Assembly, talking to us about that car grant directive that was given by the President. We wait to see, what will be done. Will members of the County Assembly be given the car grant or not? Because the country will require about 4.5 billion shillings to have that implemented. But then, Alan Ochanda spoke to Meru residents on the same. Listen in.
Well, President Uhuru Kenyatta, while on a tour of Mount Kenya region and in his series of meetings at the Sagana State Lodge, he actually now just placed his killer card here, the game changer, where he now made it clear that the members of the County Assembly, who actually number up to 1,450, some elected, while some, like about 774, are nominated members of the County Assemblies. And there he actually said that there will be, all of them will be receiving car grants. And remember that cumulatively the car grants will be amounting up to 4.5 billion shillings cumulatively, if at all the county assembly and all the county assembly members throughout the country will be benefiting from the grant. And so this is an issue that really elicited a lot of reactions. Remember that in this is actually quite an elaborate scheme by the president, of course, and of course his fellow proponents of the BBI, to ensure that they just place the debate and ensure that the county assemblies rubber stamp the bill once it actually just reaches the various county assemblies from in the various counties. And so remember, it's really elicited a lot of reactions here, and maybe if you could just talk to some of the people here in Meru to just tell us, members of the public. Of course, utakuwa unatueleza pengine jina lako. Tumesikia kwamba Rais Uhuru Kenyatta amesema kwamba kutakuwa na ruzuku ama ile car grant, kwamba watakuwa kuwapatia wale MCAs ili pengine wengine wanasema kwamba ni mtego tu wa wao kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba MCAs wanapitisha ule mswada wa BBI. Pengine nyinyi kama wakazi wa hapa Meru mnachukuliaje swala hili zima?
Kwa majina naitwa Kelvin Dadson, mkazi wa Meru. Swala la president kuchukulia MCAs gari, hiyo ni swala moja shuksha sana. Hiyo ni turn down sana kwa watu wa Mount Kenya. Si tulikuwa tume-expect president aongelee vitu zenye zinahusu Mount Kenya haswa sana, juu hiyo ndio kitu ilikuwa inafaa kuongelewa. Lakini kupatia MCAs gari, hiyo ni kaa bribe. Hiyo ni bribe. Yani ni kaa wanataka hiyo BBI ikuwe voted in through bribery. Unaona, hiyo pesa yenye wanapatia MCA magari, hiyo pesa ni mingi sana, si ni kweli? Hiyo pesa ingechaneliwa kwa shule, wanafunzi waache kufukuzwa shule, kitu ya kwanza. Hiyo pesa ndio ingetumika kwa shule. Kuna shule tunasikia zimekatwa hata maji, kuna shule zingine hazina fee, hazina chakula ya kupea watoto. Hiyo pesa wangechannel kwa shule, zitumike shule, wanafunzi waache kufukuzwa shule juu sahii economy iko chini na wanafunzi wazazi wanakula shida kutafuta fee. Unaona, hakuna venye unaweza pea MCAs gari mwaka ya mwisho na wamekaa 4 years.
Kama maneno ya kununulia MCA magari, hizo pesa ndio wangelipa naye madaktari wao wanagoma. Watu wafanywe nini yao, watridu, halafu maneno ya BBI tuweke nini. Sababu wesi sema MCA wanunuliwa magari na watu wakiwa wanagonjeka huko, watu wakiwa wanaumia na magonjwa, watu wakiwa wanaenda hospitali hawapati service yao. Hiyo pesa ndio wanastahili walipe madaktari, walipe waingie mashule, walipe huko, kila kitu iende sawa, halafu BBI ipitishwe na sisi. Sisi sote tunapitisha BBI, lakini huwezi tuambia tupitishe BBI wakati watu wanaumia, watu kwa madaktari wakienda hospitali wapate madaktari. Waanze kwanza walipe madaktari na maneno yote iweko clear. Hii ugonjwa nayo imalizike, maneno yote iende clear, halafu BBI sisi sote tupitishe. Hatukatai BBI, lakini tunasema kwa hili sasa maneno hii ni kwanza ingiliwe kati, halafu BBI ikuje nyuma.
sample views from the residents and business operators here in Meru. They are saying that there have to be priorities, of course, from the president's end. They are saying that, of course, it's not a bad idea, but priorities have to be right. The president has to get the priorities right. They are saying that that's quite a lump sum amount of money that should not be channeled to actually giving to the MCAs. So that's what the term has actually. Well, from their end, they are saying that amounts to bribing the MCAs, which is, they say is not quite appropriate. But they are saying that the money should have been channeled to other issues like the health sector that has been experiencing quite difficult times, especially towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, of course, last month of January. And so to that and those are actually their views here. But remember, it's an elaborate scheme from the president and his fellow BBI proponents. They are saying that they are targeting, of course, that the bill really needs to be passed by at least 24 county assemblies. And so remember that when the president met the MCAs, the MCAs were actually from the 10 counties of Mount Kenya region. And also remember that in ODM leader Raila Odinga's bucket, you also have more than 10 county assemblies. They're actually putting them at 15. And so just adding 15 plus 10, then maybe they are having 24 plus 1, that is 25. And so maybe the BBI bill will be safe and maybe will be sailing quite smoothly in those counties that are actually touted to be friendly to those two handshake principles. So maybe when they'll be reaching on the floors of the various county assemblies, maybe they'll have a smooth sailing.
Alana Chanda, thank you so much. You wait and see which counties will pass it. But then Kimani Githuku spoke to Murang'a residents on the car grants as well. Let's listen in as well.
Wanapewa gari kwa nini? Na yule mlimi wa pale chini hana hata pikipiki hapa ama dudhi ama nini? Kwa nini MCA anapewa?
Tuachake kupewa vitu mzuri saa zile wanataka kufanyiwa favors. Wacha kama ni kitu iko na ni halali, wacha ifanywe kutoka mwanzo. Isikuwe ati italetwa ile wakati mnataka tu kitu fulani iende venye nyinyi mnataka. Yes, unaweza wapatia hata hiyo gari, hiyo car grant nini. But at the end of the day, kura iko na mimi. So unajua umempatia yeye amenunua gari. Lakini mimi mwananchi niko tu pale mali, wewe MCA alinipata. So wanafaa wakuje kwetu, waache kwenda kwa leaders. Juu inaweza kuwa yeye anajua wao ndio wanatuongoza, lakini maybe hatuwasikizi.
If the constitution allows that person or the MCA to be given car grant, mbona anyimwe? I think it's in order. Mimi sina maneno mengi. I think it's in order.
Sidhani ni kitu inafaa kuwa. Kwa sababu tukiamua ni hivyo, every civil servant atasema apewe pesa ya gari. Kwa hivyo itakuwa sisi common mwananchi ndio tunateseka kutoa tax kila wakati. So mambo ya MCA kupatiwa 2 million, hiyo mimi nakubaliani nayo kabisa.
It's a divided opinion on whether MCAs need to be given that car grant or not. Others saying yes, others saying no. 9:28 AM on KTN News Center. And take a short commercial break. I'll be right back with what is making the headlines.